Right, next step then. In our fabulous grow along with Eli with your peppers, next step then. Because if you've sown your peppers, you've potted them up once they've got their first true leaves, and you've maybe potted them on again once or twice, each time into a slightly bigger pot so that the little plants are getting more compost and therefore more nutrition, and the plants are growing. Now, I said this in the last video, but what I do is I top my plants, and all that means is I pinch out the growing tip to encourage the plant to stay stocky and to focus on putting out side shoots rather than growing up. Now, the size that your plants are will vary because it will depend on the variety. I find that this is Steve. This is my little guy that's named after Steve from Green Side Up, and he is a much taller plant than all of the others. So he's quite tall, he's quite kind of thin and straggly almost. Looks a bit like a gangly teenager. But other plants are much more compact and smaller. Okay, so don't panic about the size of your plants. What I want you to think about is how many true leaves they've got. I do this when I've got about maybe 2 or 3 sets of true leaves, and that's when I pinch the tips out. Okay, and it's dead easy to do. Now the thing is, not everyone does this. Some folk have found that it actually reduces the quality of the fruit they get from their peppers. I haven't found that at all. Other folk do it because they get more peppers, because you're encouraging the plant to put out side stems. And for the more stems, there's more opportunity for little flowers, more opportunity for little fruits if you've got those flowers. So that's one reason people do this, to encourage it to grow more fruit. And that goes hand in hand with the fact that some people feel that because the plant is growing more fruit, those fruit are either smaller or inferior in some way. Now, I have to be honest with you guys, I did a big year-long experiment on this, and for me, I found that just wasn't true. But one thing I did find, a plant that has been pinched, it sets the plant back maybe a couple of weeks to a month in its growing cycle. So it will mean that this little plant will flower and fruit slightly slower than a plant that you don't do this to. So saying that then, why do I do it? Especially given that I'm in a climate where it's really a struggle to get enough warm sunny days for these little guys to get me lots of ripe fruit. Why would I do this if it's going to delay things? Well, quite frankly, I don't do it because I'm encouraging them to give me more fruit. I don't do it because I think the fruit is going to be better or inferior in any way. I simply do it as a way of controlling the size of the plants. I don't want big tall plants. I want to keep them relatively short, and if I get extra stems and things, great, but it also seems to make the plants a bit sturdier, a bit stockier. So that's why I do it. And it's dead easy. So let me start with Steve, because I think he's a good one to show on. So these are his baby leaves. We're not going to count them, but you can see he's got a pair of true leaves, second set, third set, fourth set, and he's got more coming in. So he's a bit further on than I would normally do this, but hey ho. But all I'm going to do is go to that little top. Now he now has a bud forming there. But even if there's no bud there, that little bit at the top is called the growing tip. Okay? Now, the plant has all the focus in that little tip at the moment. All the hormones are rushing around there, telling that plant to keep growing up. And what we're going to do is we're going to pinch that and pull it out. And that is then going to signal the plant that, oh no, we can't grow up anymore. So that's when it's going to tell it to start growing out instead. And all these buds along the stem can then become new branches. And that's the idea of this. So it's dead easy. You don't have to worry. All you need to do is go in there, okay, right at the top, thumb and finger, and just pinch that very top tip off. That's it. It's no drama. It's going to leave this little slightly bald patch at the top here. That'll heal, it'll be fine. And what you'll see now is the plant will start to focus its energy and putting out shoots on the sides. Okay, so that's Steve done. Let me see, what's another good one to do it with? Now, I've left this a bit late, so all my plants have started budding now. But again, same with this one. So, we're not going to count these baby leaves, but we've got a set of true leaves, second set, third set, fourth set, and there's more coming in. And right at the top, you can see all this little tiny growth here, little leaves coming in, there's a little bud. I'm going to take that right out, okay? There we go. Done. That's simple. That's all there is to it. That's topping your peppers. So have a think. You don't have to do this. A lot of people don't, but a lot of people do. So think about for you then. If I say that it will give this little plant the signal to bush out, to grow more stems, that gives it the chance to put on more flowers and more fruit. And it keeps the plant contained, smaller, sturdier. So that's why I do it. But there is the flip side where some people find that it can then mean the plant tries to grow too much fruit and the fruit's not as big and not of the same quality. Like I say, I didn't find that, but some other people have. Also, it'll slightly delay that plant and when it will give you fruit, just slightly by a couple of weeks to 4 weeks. But something to think about. Topping your peppers, super simple. Now, you have to decide. But if you want to see that entire year-long experiment I did, I will link it here for you. The whole playlist of videos, which actually started the previous winter, where I started with a plant that I decided I was going to try to overwinter. So it got severely pruned, and I included it as part of the experiment because it was a pruned plant that then grew the next year. But I added to that, and I had plants that I then topped and plants that I didn't top. So there's the playlist there for you if you want to go and watch that and see how things progress throughout the year. See you, folks.